Before we really get into chapter 5, I have a quick question for you. You guys have seen these sort of questions on the internet, I'm assuming. This is actually a visual representation of what's called a system of equations. Now, this one has a significant number of variables for us to look at, but we can use one equation to solve for the other equations. So I'm going to pause real fast and let's see if you guys can figure out what each of the items on this Chick-fil-A menu are worth based on the system of equations to be able to answer the last question. This is just for funsies. If we had done this in class, this would have been your beginning question at the whiteboard, but of course this is an asynchronous lesson. So go ahead and pause the video here and see if you can figure this out. Now hopefully this is the information you concluded with. Each drink is worth 10, since 3 drinks makes 30. Therefore, each sandwich based on the second line is worth 5, because this is 10 plus 5 is 20. Therefore, if this is 5, that means each 2 pieces of fries is worth 2. So hopefully, when you got to the last one, you were mathematically doing the following. The sandwich, which was 5, plus one of the fries that are worth 2, which means that's only worth 1, multiplied by the drink, which is 10. Now, of course, this is where these problems always get you is, first of all, did you notice there was only 1 fry there? Tricky. Also, this is PEMDAS, which means we have to do this multiplication before we add. So this ends up being 15. But did you see how we started with different variables and we used the different equations to solve for the different variables? In this case, the drink, the sandwich, and the fries. We're going to be doing the same thing, however, we're going to be working with systems of equations. Chapter 5 is all about solving these systems of equations. The first section of Chapter 5 is working with linear equations in 2 variables. Now, you've done this in previous classes, and so our end goal is to find a solution to this system, and the solution is always given as a coordinate point x comma y, which means you can take any coordinate points, x's and y's, and plug them back into the equation to check and make sure that they are correct solutions. We're going to do 2 different methods of solving systems. The first method is called substitution. To do the solving systems of linear equations by substitution method, you're going to solve either of the equations for one variable. Now, when you're doing this, you're going to want to make sure you're choosing an easy solve, meaning we're going to want to solve for a variable that's maybe by itself and doesn't have a coefficient in front of it. That would be an easy solve. You'll then substitute the expression found in step 1 into the other equation, solve that equation, back substitute, and simplify. So what this will look like, and if you notice on these notes, I've given you quad paper because I highly recommend you use nice, neat, organized handwriting, especially starting today, so that next class, when we have much longer problems, you have a nice organized set of notes. I highly recommend it. So here I notice in this system of equations that this x is by itself, right? There's no, I guess not completely by itself, but there's no coefficient for that x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this equation and I'm going to move that 2y to the other side. So this equation becomes x equal to positive 2y minus 3. I added 2y to the other side. That means now I can take this expression for x, 2y minus 3, and I can substitute it into the first equation, and in the place of x, I'm going to substitute in 2y minus 3. At this point, I only have one variable left and one equation I'm working with. One variable, one equation we can solve. This becomes 10y minus 15 minus 4y equal to 9. If I combine like terms, I end up with 6 y's on the left-hand side, because 10 minus 4 is 6 y's. And I'm going to add the 15 to the other side, which gets me 24. Divide by 6 on both sides, we know that y is equal to 4. Now, that's solving the equation for one variable. Now I need to take this value of y and back substitute it in to an equation containing an x. Specifically, if we plug it into the isolated equation for x, this becomes 2 times 4 minus 3. 2 times 4 is 8, and 8 minus 3 is 5. So my solution, my coordinate pair solution, is 5, 4. You solve for a particular variable, You plug that variable in, you solve the single variable equation, and then back substitute. That's solving a system by substitution. The second method we're going to use to solve linear systems is called addition. In Algebra 1, you may have called this the elimination method. This is actually the method we're probably going to use the most when we get to more complicated systems next class. So don't just say I'm just going to substitute every single time because you're comfortable there. I would rather us get very comfortable with elimination or addition. To solve a linear system using addition, you're going to make sure before you even start that both equations are written in standard form where it's equal to the value c. So ax plus by equal to c. After it's written in this regular looking form, standard form if you will, you're going to multiply either or both equations by a particular scalar so that there is a pair of opposite terms. By opposite terms, I mean like an ax and a negative ax, or a by and a negative by. We want one of the equations to have a positive and one to have a negative version of that coefficient on the same variable. Then you're going to elementary school add the equations together in step 2. You'll be left with one variable. You back substitute and solve for the other. I'm going to zoom in this time so you can see my work a little bit closer. And we're going to solve the system in part A. It is a 2-variable system, 2 variables, 2 equations we can solve. When you're solving by elimination, the showing your work step for me, we're going to label the 2 equations, equation 1 and equation 2, so that we know what we're doing. Currently, there is no opposite terms here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply 4 times equation 1, and I'm going to add it to equation 2. You're multiplying 4, the scalar of 4, by every single term in equation 1, including the equals to number, including the c. So 4 times 3 is 12, 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 48 is 192. You're then going to add the other equation 2, exactly as it's written, together. I did this so that the y's would cancel. Notice now you have a positive 8 and you have a negative 8. And I got that because I multiplied the top equation by 4. The y's will cancel out. You'll end up with 21x equal to 168. Solve for x by dividing by 21 on both sides. Thank goodness that comes out to a nice number. It comes out to 8. 168 divided by 21. And then what we're going to do is we're going to back substitute this single variable back in to show your work. You're going to say, I'm going to take x, I'm going to plug it into one of the original equations. Doesn't matter which one, you can choose. I'm going to plug it into 1, which means we're going to have 3 times x plus 2y equal to 48. 3 times 8 is 24. Subtract 24 from both sides. Divide by 2. We get that the solution to this system is the coordinate point 8, 12. And we found that by eliminating a variable because we added the system together. Let's try that again, and let's make it a little bit more complicated before we start. So we notice right away that our equations are not written in the correct standard form. So before I do anything, I'm going to rewrite these equations up here. I'm going to write them so that they are x, and then y, and then a number. That 7y had to move sides of the equation, so it changes signs. Same with the 3x, I have to move it, so now it's positive. Neither of my variables, x or y, have opposite terms. We have a 2 and a 3 for the x's. We have a negative 7 and a 5 for the y's. So we have to force them to be opposites. Basically, I'm trying to find the least common multiple amongst these two numbers. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to multiply the first equation by 3, and I'm going to multiply the second equation by negative 2, because I want one to be positive and I want one to be negative. When we do this, I end up with 6x minus 21y equal to negative 51, and then negative 6x minus 10y equal to negative 34. Multiplied every single number by that scalar. Now that we did that, when we cancel out the x's by adding, we're going to end up with negative 31y equal to negative 85. We divide by 31, and we're left with the fraction 85 over 31. Now that's not particularly the nicest number to substitute back into equation 1 or equation 2. So here's a second option for you if you don't want to back substitute that number in. What if we eliminated the system and forced the y's to eliminate? If I was trying to force the y's to eliminate, I would need these to be opposite terms. Well, they're already opposite signs, that's good. I just need to multiply the entire equations by numbers that would make them cancel. Those numbers are 5 times the first equation and 7 times the second equation, which would give me 10x minus 35y equal to negative 85. And 7 times the second equation would be 21x plus 35y equal to 119. Again, I'm like distributing the 7 to every single term in that equation. When we cancel out the terms this time, the y's disappear and I'm left with 31x equal to 34. Divide by 31 on both sides, we get 34 over 31. So my coordinate point here that solves this system is 34 over 31, comma, 85 over 31. Again, I did elimination twice for this system because I didn't particularly want to back substitute this fraction number into the equation. You totally can. I didn't really want to. So I used elimination again and focused on eliminating the other variable. So far we've seen all three of the systems that we solved on the other page have one solution. Most systems do have a solution, an x comma y that solves the problem. However, there are special systems that have either no solution or have infinitely many solutions. These special cases will occur when you cancel out both the x's and the y's, however you're solving the system, and you're left with either a non-true mathematical statement or a true mathematical statement, which means that if we were graphing them, the lines would never intersect because they have no solution, or the lines intersect literally everywhere because they're right on top of each other. So let's see two examples that will have special solutions to the system. Now, notice there are no instructions on how to solve the system. This becomes mathematician's choice. So unless I tell you exactly how I want you to solve it with substitution or addition / elimination, you get to pick, but choose wisely because there are efficient and inefficient ways to solve a system. Since this system already has the x's lined up, y's lined up, and regular numbers lined up, and there's no particular letter, x or y, in either of the two equations that is easy to solve for, meaning no coefficient, we're going to want to use elimination or addition to solve this system. When we're solving using addition, remember, we label the equations equation 1 and equation 2. We need these equations to cancel each other out. Let's focus on canceling the x's. If I wanted these two to cancel out, the least common multiple between them would be not 6, but if you double this one, it's 12. 4 goes into 12. So that means if we can make both of them 12x or negative 12x, we'll be able to eliminate the x's. So we're going to multiply 3 by the first equation and negative 2 by the second equation so that we end up with 12x plus 18y equal to 36, and negative 12x, the opposite, great, minus 18y equal to negative 24. However, when we add these two equations together, do you see this time that both the x's and the y's cancel out? That should have your spidey senses going off that this system will have a special solution because we have no variables left on the left side of the equation. And if we add 36 and negative 24, we get 12. This equation is trying to tell me that 0 is equal to 12, which is not true. That means that these two lines are parallel to each other and we have no solution to our system. If we look at example B, notice in example B that this y value is by itself, and actually it's already solved for y. This is perfectly set up for us to use substitution. So we're going to take 3x minus 2 and plug it into the equation, the second equation, for y. So this would become 15x minus 5 times that value for y, which is 3x minus 2. Now I have one equation and it only has one type of variable. One equation, one variable I can solve. This becomes 15x minus 15x plus 10 equal to 10. How did I get that? I did a little distribution. Whoa, 15x minus 15x, those are going to cancel out. And I'm left with an equation that says 10 equal to 10, which is a true mathematical statement. Since the variable canceled out, I'm going to be able to say that this has infinitely many solutions, or all real numbers as its solution, since 10 is equal to 10. The moral of the story is, if your variables cancel out, first of all, pause for a second, make sure we didn't make some sort of arithmetic error, but then conclude that we have one of our two special systems, that the graph either has no solution, no point where they intersect, or infinitely many solutions, meaning they intersect literally everywhere.